say excellent condition. Go ahead. You back up. Yep, let's restart.
It looked like we moved. Yeah, I just did that. All right.
You good?
Hopefully this is it. Okay, we're going to go back a little bit. So, again, this sin makes man lose all common sense. Anything rational, logical, all goes out the window following behind this sin. Right? So he said that I will bring upon you all of the diseases that were in Egypt that you were afraid of. Right? But this still don't deter man from committing this sin. Even with the threat of catching something, man still goes forward and do this sin regardless. Right? So then we went to John chapter 8 to show that Mashiach tells us not to be judgmental, and he is without sin cast the first stone. Everybody walked away because everybody had something on them, right? Now, give me James chapter 1, verse 12.
The book of James, chapter 1, beginning at verse 12. Blessed or increased is the man that endured temptation.
That does what?
That endures temptation.
That endures temptation. What is temptation? He said, blessed is the man that endures it. This means that it's going to be there. It's like pride, it's not going away. It's always going to be there. So he says, blessed is the man that endures temptation. Read.
For when he is tried.
For when he's what?
For when he is tried.
Read.
He shall receive the crown of life.
What?
He shall receive the crown of life.
You shall receive the crown of life. But this crown of life, you will see, it ain't hard, it ain't easy to get it, because it's all of these obstacles in the way to keep you from getting it. Pride, greed, envy, lust, all of these things are in your way to keep you from getting this crown of life. But he says if you overcome them, crown of life is waiting for you. Read.
Which the Master, Yahuwah, hath promised to them that love him. Let no man say when he is tempted that I am tempted of Elohim.
That I'm tempted of who?
Of Elohim.
So when you're tempted, don't blame it on Yah. Oh my God, why he doing this to me? Everything, 95% of that you go through is from what? Self-inflicted. Right? So he said, don't blame me. Don't say that you tempted from me. Read.
Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of Elohim. For Elohim cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempt he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust.
Of his what?
Of his own lust.
Of his own lust. So what is lust? Strong desire. Basically like something that's uncontrollable. Right? With a lot of people, I lost control. So they're saying that this thing is that strong. But what's the most dangerous thing about lust? Absolutely. But the dangerous thing about it is it disguises itself as love. It disguises itself to look like love. So how many times you swear up and down that you was in love, but you really was just in lust? But it fools you. Just like Satan tries to imitate Mashiach and look like him, that's what this does. Oh, they the same. They kind of similar. They both start with an L. Right? They similar. They close. No, they not.
Both got the same amount of letters and everything.
Same amount of letters, the whole nine. They similar. They close. But one, love is what? Yah is love. Love is about love your neighbor as you love yourself. I would never, it's selfless, it makes you humble. It makes you wouldn't do anything to hurt anybody else. But lust, on the other hand, is all for self. I need this to be satisfied. I need to fulfill this, and no matter who it hurts, right? I'm going to do it. That's the big, big difference between the two. But lust disguises itself as love. That's what makes it so dangerous. Read.
Let no man say when he is tempted that I am tempted of Elohim. For Elohim cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempt he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when lust hath conceived.
When it has what?
When lust hath conceived.
Wow, that's an interesting choice of words. When lust has what?
Conceived.
Conceived. What does that mean? Because this sin right here brings about life and death. As we're going to go. Interesting, he used that. But when it has conceived, it does what?
It brings forth sin.
And what does sin bring?
And sin, when it is finished, brings forth death.
Brings forth death. So we're going to see as we walk through this thing how deadly this sin is. Why would a pastor risk what he's built for however many years he's been in the ministry and throw it all away for this? Why would Bill Clinton do what he do? I did not have relations with that woman.
I did not. Don't put that on me.
Why would he do that? And knowing that it's going to come out, he says, what's done in the dark is going to come to the light. All secret things is going to be revealed, right? But it makes you lose common sense. I'm going to do it anyway. Nobody will find out.
Then everybody.
Right? But after it's done, it brings about a complete guilt that's all over you and shame. And you think everybody knows what you've done. Right? Y'all know, anybody know about that? Makes you feel like, dang, I know they know about it. That's the guilt. Give me Galatians chapter 5, 23.
Galatians chapter 5, verse 23. Meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And they that are Mashiach.
Hold on, start that again.
Let me start right here.
No, 23.
Meekness, temperance.
What is it?
Meekness, temperance.
Temperance. What is that? Self-control. This is one that you must have this in order to overcome this one. Self-control. You must get control of yourself, of your faculties, of your members. Because if not, the lust is going to fulfill itself, and you're going to do it. Self-temperance, self-control, again, brings about a short pleasure and a whole bunch of shame. 1 Corinthians 6:18.
First Corinthians chapter 6 at verse 18. Flee fornication.
Do what?
Flee fornication.
Walk away from him.
Flee fornication.
Why does he say flee from him? Do it in haste. Run from it. Right? Get away from this thing. Read.
Flee fornication. Every sin that a man do is without the body.
It is what?
It's without the body.
Every sin that you commit is without the body. Read.
But he that commit fornication sin against his own body.
Does what?
Sin against his own body.
So this one right here, he says you sinning against yourself. The other ones are usually outward to somebody else. I'm doing something to somebody else, but this one goes directly against you, your own body. So he says, flee from it. Can we think of anybody fleeing from it? Joseph. Let's go there. The other dangerous thing is we actually, we like people to envy us, we actually like people to lust after us. Is that a lie? It's not a lie. You know it. What's the point, my sisters, of showing your body off?
To be able to tell somebody they're thirsty.
Facts.
What's the
Am I
point?
alive?
Hey, niggas thirsty, but you're selling water. In fact, you're giving it away. So ask yourself that this sin is deadly. So you're going to see something. Mashiach says if a man looks on a woman, it is adultery. So you marry, ask yourself, why do I have, am I in the front yard with my pink on, bending over?
Why am I Miss Parker?
Why was I just thinking?
Yeah.
Why was I just thinking about that?
So we like it. So a man get himself together and all buffed up, can't stop taking his shirt off. You know what it is? Once you get that pack, it's hard to, man, they need to see it.
It's the winter time, brother.
They need to, and what I worked on, I started my New Year's resolution to get this pack. They need to know it. I got to show y'all my progress. We enjoy it. You enjoy making somebody commit this ultimate sin. Read, we're going to Genesis 39, pick it up at verse 7.
Genesis chapter 39 and verse 7. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph.
She did what?
Cast her eyes upon Joseph.
Well, and I think today it seems like women are worse than men. No stones.
Yes, stones. I got it. He teaching. I'm reading.
So it says his master cast her eyes on Joseph.
She ain't just look at him.
Threw them things at him.
Next snap.
see you like that yesterday.
Read.
And she said, lie with me.
Do what?
Lie with me.
Flat out. No beating around the bush. Come lay with me. Read.
But he refused.
He what?
But he refused.
He refused. Read.
And said unto his master's wife, behold, my master want not what is with me in the house, and he hath committed all that he hath to my hand. There is no greater in this house than me.
Arrogance, pride. Nobody greater in this house than me. Read.
Neither hath he kept back anything from me, but you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against Elohim?
Sin against who?
Elohim.
Read.
And it came to pass that she spake to Joseph day by day.
How many days?
Day by day.
Joseph was actually meaning what he was saying. Do you think she would have kept coming after him?
He had to give her a week or something.
When y'all was in the world and you was PG and you were messing with somebody and the girl say, stop. Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Not these people here.
Not yet.
Not them. Nobody.
Nobody's affiliated with the city.
Nobody in here.
Yeah, no, you're still nobody with the city.
Nobody in here. Nobody in here.
But when she said it in this way, you say, she don't mean it. Right? But if she said, stop, don't do that, you knew, right?
Heart get to beating fast.
Right?
I got the wrong idea.
You knew. So he told her really no. But I bet you Joseph liked it.
Girl, go on, stop now. You know I can't. Go ahead on now.
No, he just told her, ain't nobody in this house greater than me. Meaning I'm greater than you. So he's not in the servant role the way that you're thinking. He just flat out told her, ain't nobody in this house greater than me.
That boy playing mind games. Baby, you know ain't nothing in here, nigga. But I can't have you.
So day by day, come on now, we gotta go back. We gotta go back. Think about this. You like the feeling of, you know what I'm saying? Women that say, I can't doing this stuff. But you gonna walk past the construction workers every day. You like it, you enjoy it. What you got, Art?
I'm thinking she's ugly. So she's ugly, that's, I know she's going day by day. She's
No,
This is not the Pharaoh, but this is Potiphar's wife.
this is the high up's wife. Now we know that Potiphar was a eunuch. So this is part of the reason why she's after him.
Everybody who served Pharaoh.
It's in the text, I'll show it to you. So we know that she is not being serviced at home because her husband, again, is a eunuch, right? But he's saying she's coming after him day by day.
Hold it down, y'all. Hold it down.
Day by day, she's after him. He liked it. Think about it. Even if you don't do nothing about it, you enjoy it. You know me.
The top dog wife, though.
So we like it. You gotta be real with this stuff. Read on.
Verse 11. Verse 10 again. And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her, or to be with her. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went to the house to do his business.
To do what?
To do his business.
To do his business. Now, he is second in command in this house. I know that this man's wife is bothering me and trying to come after me. You know what? I'm going to keep some workers in here with me. Come in here with me, bro. She ain't gonna do it if she knows somebody in here. He got the power to do it. Second in command. But again, we like to play with sin. Right? We like to double dutch with it. Play on the edge with it. Y'all be real with yourself. You know it's a reals. So we like to do that. We don't see what comes from the sin. Read.
And there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by the garment and said, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand.
Now she done took it too far. I just want to tease around with it. I ain't going to do it. Just want to mess around with it. But now she finally to the point, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take it.
That boy was walking around with the jogging pants on.
The gray ones that everybody talk about, right? So again, we like to play with this sin. It won't happen to me. But one of the greatest enemies of this is overconfidence. In 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 12. Uh-huh.
First Corinthians chapter 10, beginning at verse 12. Wherefore let him that think he stand take heed, lest he fall.
Read it again.
Wherefore let him that think he stand take heed, lest he fall.
So this is what a lot of people get overconfident. This is like an alcoholic saying, I got this thing licked, man. Give me a little shot. Overconfident. You're going to fall. Playing with the sin will cause you to fall. Solomon, perfect example. I'm so smart. I know why he said not to do this, but I can get away with it. I can do it regardless. Overconfidence. Read that one more time.
Wherefore let him that think he stand take heed, lest he fall.
Lest he falls. So when you get overconfident, you get ready to slip up and fall. Knowing pride don't go away. This sexual lust thing don't go away. It's all around us. There's an entire industry built around this very sin. It's the porn industry, right? It makes $12 billion a year off of this sin. That's more than basketball and football, NBC, ABC, all these things combined. It makes more money than all of these things combined. That's how strong this thing is. Certain things that y'all never intended for us to see. Right? But they ate from the tree, so boom, here we are. Right? So, as a boy, growing up, and you in your innocence, and you've never seen none of this stuff before, right? And you playing in the house, and you make a mistake and knock them boxes over. And a book fall out. You're like, oh, what in the world is I know it's bad, but woo, I can't stop looking at it. Put them back up before they find it. Y'all know about this, right?
Nobody Nobody in here.
No, yeah, forget all saints.
Nobody in here. I'm talking about from the youth up.
Yeah.
They're raised in this.
So you see them magazines and a lot of your innocence fly out the window, right? You wasn't trying to see it, but after this, that magazine under there. Nobody's down here. I got to see one. Just one last time. Oh my goodness. Then, a little bit older, your uncles or somebody got the VCR, as they would say, the VCR, right? And you just innocently turn the TV on and bom, chicka, bom, bom.
Yeah.
What in the world? Why you got this stuff on here? Wow. Now, again, more of your innocence is flying away from you. Right?
Nobody in here can relate. No VCR, nothing. Dividends, nothing.
Innocence flying away. And you go to school and there's some people that's so-called advanced and they in there bragging about the stuff. And you like, wow, how is he talking about this stuff in front of everybody? How is she saying all of this stuff? And you're like almost ashamed of like, wow, they in here saying all of this stuff in the open. And then the boys that's 13, 14, and they in there talking about how many girls they've been with and you lame because you haven't and all of this stuff and the peer pressure is building on you. Oh my God, I got to get in the game because I can't be a lame. Anybody, y'all know about that? My eyes. Y'all. Raised in this walk, you don't know.
Hey, only when they was married.
Oh, right. I got you.
I know these brothers.
So again, it's all around you. The pressure is all around you. Dudes knowing they ain't never been with the girl, but they gotta lie to people. Shame and put a shame on a young lady's name that you know you didn't do nothing with, but you gotta lie to keep up with the fellas, knowing that you're telling a lie. So this thing started with the eyes, right? So again, y'all didn't want us to see certain things, right? So again, the go-to sin. Give me Matthew chapter 6, 22.
Matthew chapter 6 and verse 22. The light of the body is the eye.
It is what?
The light of the body is the eye.
He said the light of the body is the eye. What you intake to your eyes is key. It is essential, right? The light of the body is the eye. Read.
If therefore your eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light.
It shall be what?
Full of light.
Read.
But if your eye be evil, the whole body shall be full of darkness.
The whole what?
The whole body shall be full of darkness.
It shall be full of darkness. When we stumbled on this stuff and seen this stuff that we wasn't supposed to see, it entered darkness, started to come into you. And you started taking on this wickedness that the world put on you, and it wasn't taught to most of us in the right way. So we learned it through in wicked ways, right? So again, go to the grocery store. Write on the thing, 15 ways to drive her wild. right? All right there. Makes people curious. I'm going to just get this book just to see what's in there. It's all around us. All around us. They said that man, I don't know where they get the study from, but sex is on the man's mind every so many seconds. Right? But why? Because you inundated with it. It's everywhere that you look around. Everywhere that you go, it's all around you. School, it's everywhere. Finish that last verse again. Read that last verse again.
The light of the body is the eye. If therefore your eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light.
It shall be what?
Full of light.
It shall be full of light. So again, God never intended for us to see certain things, that we chose it. Give me Genesis chapter 2, verse 16.
I'm about to read verse 23 before I
Okay.
It says, but if your eye be evil, your whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in you be darkness, how great is that darkness?
How great is that darkness? Because this is one that everybody wants to hide and keep it away from the shame of it, but it don't stop most from participating in it. Genesis 2:16.
Genesis 2:16. And Yahuwah Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat of it. For in the day that you eat thereof, you shall surely die.
You shall what?
Surely die.
You shall surely die. So again, I don't want you to see this tree. I don't want you to have to never experience this stuff. This is why we want to shelter our children from certain things, because I don't want you to see this, because I know once you see it, it's going to get in there and it's going to start ruining you. Right? They say you can't shelter them. They got to see. Yes, it's right. They're going to go into the world and see it anyway. You know, we had a little scandal with our children a couple years back with this stuff. But y'all probably forgot. Give me 1 John chapter 2:16. Yeah, my bad. Did we read that? Verse 16, 17?
Genesis 2.
16 and 17?
And Yahuwah commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat of it. For in the day that you eat thereof, you shall surely die.
So he threatened him with death to make him not want to eat from this tree. You are in paradise, you got everything you need. You're going to die if you eat from this one. But with greed, I got to see what it is. Just like when they tell us, don't watch that man welding that thing together. What's the first thing you do? Look at it. You know if you look at that man welding that thing, you're going to go blind. I just told you, you're going to go blind. But this is how messed up man is. 1 John 2:16.
First John chapter 2 at verse 16. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh.
The what?
The lust of the flesh.
What else?
The lust of the eyes.
The what?
And the lust of the eyes.
The lust of the eyes. So now, once you see it, you don't even have to physically see it anymore. Because it's where? It's internal. It's inside. It's already got into your eyes. Already. It's there. Right? It's already got in there. Read that from the top again.
For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life.
The what?
The pride of life.
The pride of life. Read.
is not of the Father.
It is what?
Is not of the Father.
It is not of the Father. Read.
But is of the world.
But is of what?
The world.
Of the world. You are in the world, but be not of the world. So with this porn industry, it has brought about an unrealistic fantasy to most people, right? But you don't realize that these people are acting, right? Even though they ain't doing what they doing, they acting. They say, cut, and start over, and all this type of stuff, right? And you don't realize that these men have taken 5 gas station pills. The pills y'all be buying at the, yeah. Not y'all. You don't even realize it. And she's thinking, well, they do it for boom, boom, boom. It's unrealistic. And she's trying to act like what she's been saying. It's unrealistic. It's not the way. But it gives you off this facade of how this is supposed to be, but it's just an act. It's an act. Again, these people was on them pills. What's with them pills that y'all be buying at the gas station? What is it?
Chapter and verse
2 and 16. I'm stronger. I'm wiser. I'm better.
Matthew chapter 18 and verse 9.
Nobody in here.
Matthew 18 and verse 9.
Matthew 18 and 9. And if your eye offends you, pluck it out.
Do what?
If your eye offends you,
He said, if you can't stop looking, take scissors or something and gouge your eyes out. This is how serious Mashiach is trying to show you it is. If you can't stop looking at it, gouge your eyes out. Read.
and cast it from you.
Do what?
And cast it from you.
And cast it from you. Now, who is willing to gouge their eye out? So if you're not willing to gouge your eye out, then what should you do? Stop looking. That means if I have to remove all the apps off the phone, if I have to get rid of it, this is how serious it is. Cut them all off. Or do what Job did. What did Job do?
Make a contract with his eyes.
He did what?
Make a contract with his eyes.
Give me Job 31 and 1.
Job 31 and verse 1. I made a covenant with my eyes.
I did what?
I made a covenant with my eyes.
This man say I made a covenant with my eyes. I wrote up a contract and did this with my own eyes. Read.
Why then should I think upon a maid?
Why then what?
Why then should I think upon a maid?
He said, why then should I think upon a maid? I'm making a contract with my eyes not to let my eyes overtake me and ruin me. He said, I'm not going to do it. I made a contract with my own eyes. Why should I look on a maid? That means he knew that if I keep looking, I'm going to mess up. Right? Matthew 5:28.
The book of Matthew, chapter 5, and verse 28. But I say to you that whosoever look on a woman to lust after her have committed adultery with her already.
He did what?
Have committed adultery with her already in his heart.
In his where?
In his heart.
In his heart. So the same as he said, if you hate your brother in your heart without a cause, you are a murderer. He says right here, if you look on a woman to lust after her, you have committed adultery in your heart. When we was in Egypt, guess what you couldn't do? You couldn't even lust after no woman if you wanted to. Because all of them was covered up. You didn't see their hands.
No tight dressing
None of that. They even rode a bike and motorcycles different. They wouldn't even straddle the bike, or they would sit to one side of it. They wouldn't even look you in your face. You barely ever seen their hand or a foot. Y'all let us go over there for a reason, so we can see some stuff.
Y'all read some scripture here.
Because he know. Read it again, man. 5:28.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 28. But I say unto you, that whosoever look on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
What does adultery lead a man to? The lake. Death. The second death. So, why do sisters want to be a stumbling block? I ain't gonna say nobody's name, but it's men in this room that have spoke to me about this very sin, who's struggling with it. So why do you expose yourselves and show your shape?
No, you shouldn't be looking anyway.
It's horrible.
Your man just be lustful.
This is one of the 7 deadly. You shouldn't want to contribute to nobody's shortcoming. You should know this. Think about it. I'm helping some person. Again, I talked to brothers in the room who told me that they struggle with it. So think about this, especially married sisters. You married. Don't go out with that pink stuff on. I told you I want to burn it all up. Jerome make a post once a month begging sisters to take that stuff off in public. But I'm going to go to the gym. I'm just going to the gym so I can work out and do squats for 3 hours.
Something you can do at the crib.
Oh, let me lay on this machine so my behind can be up in it.
And I'm going to film it though. I'm going to film it and post it so everybody can see my workout journey.
Stop it, man. We gotta know what you're doing. So I keep telling you, it's an industry built on this. It's another industry that's built on this. Taking young girls and selling them across the sea. Right? Sex trafficking. It's a real thing. And you make yourself a target even more. Because you got to show your goods off to everybody. So you shouldn't want nobody to end up in the lake because you want to show your behind off. First Tim 2 and 9. First Tim 2 and 9.
First Timothy chapter 2 and verse 9. In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in somewhat modest apparel.
Is that the remix version?
Let me see if that's the remix version.
Yeah, that's the remix version. We don't want that one. Get that original.
In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel.
What kind of apparel?
Modest apparel.
Modest apparel. It's a shame that he got to even say this. But it needs to be said. Again, a lot of y'all is infatuated because you have what is, they would say, a Coke bottle. But once you have a couple babies, and you get a little older, you turn into a 2-liter. And this ain't no slight at nobody, right? Just showing you that that's and more than likely gonna go away. So if that's what you're trying to hold yourself with this. And I pray I'm not offending nobody, but
Still trying to hold on to the one little figure that you got. Keeping it real though.
so he says that women adorn themselves in modest apparel. Read.
With shamefacedness.
With what?
Shamefacedness.
Loud and obnoxious.
Shamefacedness.
Girl, I'm nigga.
Shamefacedness.
Shamefacedness. Quiet and meek.
Somebody testify that.
Again, this system got everything upside down. Everything. So again, the porn industry promotes certain things, right? So this why the younger sisters, you in trouble. If you don't conduct yourself right, they have what's called the schoolgirl stuff in that stuff, right? Where they got the knee-high socks and the uniforms, exactly, just like some of the little girls do right now. But they got an industry that's pushing that, right? That's sick. That's very, very sick. So again, y'all lets us see stuff for a reason. So when we was younger on our block, we was about 13, 14 years old. And we had some older ox on the block that was like 21, right? 21, 22. And it was girls on our block that was 12 and 11. And the 21-year-olds used to be like, ooh, boy, you see the way she stand? Did you see dick, boy? Boy, y'all better stop playing. This is real. I'm being real with y'all. You in trouble, you don't even know it. They were saying this type of stuff to us and trying to get us to be a part of it. And even then we was like, oh man, I ain't right. My brother right there can attest to it. They was going after him. Saying this stuff. Oh, look at the legs. Boy, she's so thick. This is sick. The industry do it. So even when we got older, I was like 28, and dude was like 35. He come to me with the picture on his phone, and he said, "Look at this dog. Look at this dog. She thick, ain't she?" I'm like, "Bro, how old is she?" He's like, "Man, she's 17. I'm like, "Dude, is you crazy?" He's like, "Man, she thick though, bro. I'm like, she thick though, bro. I'm telling you, man. She want me to go to the prom with her." I'm like, "Dude, you better not. Bro, you better not go to the prom with this girl." I'm telling y'all real life stuff that y'all young sisters is in danger. You don't even know it.
Because you're really getting attention.
Check. You're really getting attention. You're wearing what you're wearing and acting how you acting to get attention from who you want to get attention from. But you're really getting attention from people that you really don't want to get attention from. Right? That's the issue. That's these dudes is thirsty. Because when it's the guys that you want to get attention from, "Oh, look, you hear what he said about me?" But the dudes that you don't want to look at you a certain way, now they thirsty. Now these dudes is terrible. Now they horrible. Right?
Yep.
It's a thought. Because it's happening.
Say like he was talking about how older men and younger women in high school. I remember in high school, seniors, you waiting on freshmen to come to the front door. Let's keep it real. That's seniors waiting on the freshmen. They don't know no better.
Straight out of 8th grade.
That's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth.
Yes, sir. Again, you in danger, you don't even know it. You're playing with fire. Again, so if it's that dude that you detest, oh, you make me sick. But if it's that one with the eyes that you like, or whatever it be, he can rap or whatever, now it's good. But again, it's going to be more bad attention than good. Because, I hate to say it, when we was boys, it was only one thing that he was after. Keep it PG. It's like when you take your money out the bank, all the interest is gone. Let that marinate.
Nowadays, though, the young girls be on the same. They know that that's all he want, and they happy to be that for him.
Awful. Horrible. Takes us back somewhere to Sodom and Gomorrah. So this sin also works off of loneliness. And loneliness is the other side of the world. Works off loneliness. Let's see something. Genesis 38, verse 7.
Genesis chapter 38 and verse 7. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, Go in unto your brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to your brother. And then Onan knew that the seed should not be his.
It's a what?
It should not be his.
Read.
And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, he spilled it on the ground, lest he should give seed to his brother.
He shouldn't have did it at all. Read.
And the thing which he did displeased Yahuwah, wherefore he slew him also. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow at your father's house.
Do what?
Remain a widow at your father's house.
Go to your pop's house and be a widow there. Read.
Till Shelah, my son, be grown. For he said, Lest perhaps he die also, and as his brethren did.
So she is a widow. Keep that in mind. Read.
And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And in process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died.
She did what?
Died.
So now Judah has just suffered a terrible loss. Cue the violin. Right? So now he is lonely. She has went through 2 brothers and they are dead. She's waiting on the next one to come along so she can have her husband. Now his wife has died. Loneliness, right? Read.
And Judah was confronted and went up into the sheep shears to Timnah.
He was comforted.
Comforted. And went up into the sheep shears to Timnah, he and his friend Harah the Adulamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, Behold, your father-in-law go up to Timnah to shear his sheep.
She knows his character. Read.
And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnah. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife.
So she was promised to get Shelah when he was grown, but she don't get him. She needs to be a wife and to bring forth children, so she gets desperate and do something. Judah has just lost his wife. Read.
When Judah saw her, he thought her to be a harlot, because she had covered her face. And he turned to her by the way and said,
So she just put on some type of a clothes. How y'all think these clothes look that she put on?
and she wrapped herself. And she wrapped herself.
When you wrap something, you see something, right?
Silhouette.
I love so she put on something, and instantly he thought her to be something. So she took off her loose clothes and she put on something else so she can look a certain type of way. So if you wear certain stuff, even if you're not what they say you are, you look like it. Read.
When Judah saw her, he thought her to be a harlot, because she had covered her face. He turned unto her by the way and said, Go to, I pray you. Let me come in unto you. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law.
That she was what?
His daughter-in-law.
Read.
And she said, What you gonna give me? That you may come in unto me.
Again, all common sense out the window. Read.
And he said, I'll send you a kid from the flock. And she said, Will you give me a pledge till you send it? And he said, What pledge shall I give you? And she said, Your signet and your bracelets.
Give me what?
Your signet and your bracelets.
What's the signet?
The ring.
That's the family ring that you sign stuff with. You certainly wouldn't give that away to her. Read.
And your staff that's in your hand.
And everybody know people's staffs. You're not going to give her that. Surely you're not. But he's not thinking straight. Because again, all common sense goes out the window when following behind the sin. Read.
And he gave it her, and came in unto her. And when lust has conceived, when she conceived by him, and she arose and went away.
So now, a pregnancy has taken place. So in the world, what might happen in this situation? Oh my goodness. Abortion. Life and death comes from this. But she don't do the abortion thing. Right? Read.
And Judah,
Verse 19, and she arose and went away and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of a friend, the Adulamite, to receive the pledges from the woman's hand, but found her not. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, where is that harlot that was openly by the wayside? And they said, there wasn't no harlot in this place. And he returned to Judah and said, I can't find her. And also the men of the place said that there was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent the kid, and you have not found her. And it came to pass about 3 months after.
How long?
About 3 months after.
Now she got the baby bump.
First trimester.
Can't be hidden no more. Read.
That it was told Judah, saying, Tamar, your daughter-in-law, hath played the harlot.
Played what?
She done played the harlot.
She done played the harlot. Read.
And also, behold, she is with child by whoredom.
She is with child by what?
By whoredom.
She is with child by whoredom. So she brings forth these children. Now imagine how their house is right now. Imagine he had got his own daughter-in-law pregnant. This is Jerry Springer type of stuff. So imagine how mad this house is right now. How dysfunctional it is right now because this that took place. These kids got to be looked at in a certain type of way. Right? Which ain't no fault of theirs. But it's horrible to be in this house because he done this thing. Now he got to live with the shame. Read.
And Judah said, bring her forth. Let her be burnt.
Let her be what?
Let her be burnt.
Because what's supposed to happen to whores? It's supposed to be burned. Babylon is described as a whore. It's going to burn. So everybody that plays the whore burns. Read.
When she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man whose these are, am I with child.
I got that rollie and that ring. That's who got me pregnant. Whose stuff is it? Lost all common sense.
Man.
Nowhere in the world to give your signet ring and your staff. But to fulfill this thing, you lose common sense. Read.
Discern, I pray you, whose are these? The
Tell me
signet
whose
and
stuff
the
is
bracelet.
this? Read.
And the staff. And Judah acknowledged them and said, she'd have been more righteous than I. Because I gave her not to Shelah my son, and knew her again no more.
We can see what comes from this. Glad they didn't kill the children like most people kill these children, right? It's called adding sin to sin. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith Yahuwah, that take counsel but not of me, that cover with a covering but not of my Ruach, that they may add sin to sin.
They do what?
Add sin to sin.
That they add sin to sin. So imagine how many babies have been conceived through this very type of act. And how many have died to cover it up. Just imagine it. It's innumerable how many times this took place, and now to cover it up because I'm worried about somebody finding out, you go and kill the baby. Now you added sin to sin. So let's switch the situation. Let's say, for instance, a young girl gets pregnant because she's been being what we would say is fast, and she gets pregnant at 14, 15 years old, and the parents is embarrassed, right? What normally comes out of it? We can't let nobody find out about this. Go and get an abortion. You just added sin to sin. You made what was bad even worse. You made it even worse. So again, this thing starts with the eyes. Get to Leviticus 18:21. Exactly. Leviticus 18:21.
Leviticus 18, verse 18 or 20.
Leviticus 18:21.
Sorry. Leviticus chapter 18, verse 21. You shall not let any of your seed pass through the fire to Molech, neither shall you profane the name of your Elohim. I am Yahuwah.
What does it mean to let your children go through the fire for Molech? Now this has seemed horrible, right? Guess this is a little worse because you do it when they out and alive. But it's still the same thing. With abortion, it's still the same thing. It's horrible. And this is a form of this Molech thing, is to kill your own children. There's supposed to be nothing stronger than a mother's love, right? But why have hundreds of millions of our women murdered their own babies? All from this sin, from this lust. So again, starts with the eyes, then it goes into the mind. Genesis chapter 6, verse 1. So remember when you thought that you was in love, but you really was just in lust, and you did the sin, and how many men FICA killing you? Child support killing you off this sin because you really didn't know that woman. So people was ready to kill themselves because they taken my check from me. Right? All because this sin is underneath it. See people looking all the time at their checks. Oh, FICA killing me. Friend of the court. Read.
And it came to pass when men began to multiply. I'm sorry, y'all, it's Genesis 61, by the way. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And Yahuwah said, my Ruach shall not always strive with man.
He knew it right here. He said, my Ruach shall not always strive with man. Read.
But that he also is flesh.
He is what?
Also is flesh.
If you follow the flesh. But if you live after the Ruach, you won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. Read.
Yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of Elohim came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare them children. To the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. And Elohim saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth.
It was what?
Was great in the earth.
Read.
And that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart.
Every what?
Every imagination of the thoughts of his heart.
He said every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was what?
Was only evil.
It was what?
Only evil.
I think we're back in them times again. The imagination of the thoughts was only evil continuously. So they said that sex was on a man's mind every 7 seconds or something like this. That sounds like continuously. But it ain't just men no more. It's women as well. Same thing. Every imagination, thought was evil continuously. They can't get it off their mind. Uncontrollable lust. We know that he said that it was violent in the earth in those days. Where do you think the violence stemmed from? Violence goes into another word. That's one of the 7 sins. Wrath. Wrath. So, the easiest way to make a man is mad is to show him up in front of his wife or his women or whatever it be. Can't let you do that. My pride won't let me. I'll fight that giant and he'll beat you to a pulp, but I can't stop because I can't let you embarrass me in front of them. So we see that this was centered around people getting married. So we know that it was a lot of fornicating, adultery going on at this time.
Yep.
It's back again. It's here.
All the songs.
Genesis 19. Like you say, the whole rap industry is on it, promoting it. Everywhere you look, every video, got it all over it. Absolutely.
Tubal Cain was the first Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Oh, big, big.
Oh, man. Ban that brother out of here. Genesis 19, pick it up at verse 1.
Genesis 19:1. And there came 2 angels to Sodom at evening, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them. And he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Behold now, my master, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and you shall rise up early and go on your ways. And they said, No, but we will abide in the street all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake them unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down,
This was a certain time that this was taking place. When y'all think this was taking place? What did he prepare for them? It's right in this time that this is taking place. Read.
but before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round about, both old and young.
Both what?
Old and young.
Both old and young. Read.
All the people.
All of who?
All the people.
So all the men, both old and young, grown, rusty, raggedy men, and little boys. Read.
From every quarter.
From where?
From every quarter.
Read.
And they called unto Lot and said unto him, What it means that they came in to you this night?
Where did you begin?
I'm not gay no more. All right, I'll stop. And they called unto Lot and said unto him, Where are the men which came in to you this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them.
That we may what?
That we may know them.
What does that mean? That we may know them. Now,
Who said to ask a question? Who said that?
see, he says that it shall be like it was in the days of Noah, also in the days of Lot. I want you to see that these homosexuals are aggressive.
Right.
These guys are ready to rape the angels.
Gang bang.
So just listen at it. It says that all the men from every quarter, both old and young, came and surrounded the house. Just as 5 cities worth of people came. What do you think they was planning on doing?
Gang bang.
Oh,
That's why they had to go.
this is disgusting. So these homosexuals was violent and they were ready to rape people. Man,
Proud of
is that what's about to come back? Is that? Oh, God, it's disgusting.
We already, being censored on being straight. Keep it real.
Wow.
Keep it real. It's gonna be a sin for you to refuse these people in a minute.
Oh, because they have rights. You can't infringe on their rights. Right?
We have the right to
And-
till it bang bang.
And this sin is being driven by lust.
Yeah.
Read the rest of that.
And Lot went out the door unto them and shut the door after him and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly.
Do what?
Do not so wickedly.
Don't do this wickedness. Read.
Behold now, I got 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out to you, and do you to them as is good in your eyes.
So he offers his daughters up. But guess what? He know that they don't want his daughters. Bring them hot, sweaty men's out. That's what they own. That don't appeal to them in no way, shape, or form. Bring the men out. Let's see how strong this sin is. Read.
Only unto these men do not anything. For therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. And they said, Negro, get out the way. And they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with you?
We gonna do you even worse than we was gonna do to them. We gonna get you worse. So I don't even want to imagine, but oh my God.
And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door.
To do what?
To break the door.
They trying to break the door down. Read.
But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them and shut the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness.
With what?
With blindness.
Surely now that they blind, they're gonna all feel their way and get and go home and find a way home. Read.
Both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door.
They still trying to get in the house. They've been struck with blindness and they miss it. It's still the same thing. Just imagine you waking up one day and you can't see. How terrifying this got to be. Suddenly your sight is gone. It has been taken from them, but it don't deter them at all. They still trying to do it. Man, y'all to stop this sin. Read that last verse again.
And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said unto Lot, Have you here any besides?
We good right there. But as you can see, going blind still don't stop them from their mission. We still want to get in their house and rape the men. Oh my goodness. They not even in jail or nothing. And They trying to force the issue. 2 Samuel 11. So we'll see how this sin, again, another way that it is pushed or brought forward. 2 Samuel 11, verse 1.
2 Samuel 11 and 1. And it came to pass after the year was expired, at the time when kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him, and all Israel. And they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried still at Jerusalem. And it came to pass in an evening tide.
At what time?
At an evening tide.
At what time?
At an evening tide.
So David been doing what all day?
Relaxing, relaxing.
Laying around, chilling all day. This goes back to the sloth, right? So you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You give room for the adversary to sneak in. Read.
And it came to pass in an evening tide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house.
Did what?
And walked up upon the roof of the king's house, where he know to go up there at this particular point in time.
Walking upon his own palace. So since he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing, he saw something he shouldn't have been seeing. It led him to do something that he shouldn't have been doing, which led a baby to die that shouldn't have been even born in the first place, that shouldn't have been conceived. All of this comes from this. This is why idle time is the enemy. Stay busy, doing something, studying something, read something, understanding something, because it'll keep you out of trouble. The minute that you get bored, those devices come in. You know what I'm saying? And you start looking at stuff that you shouldn't be looking at, right? And you can see where it leads to. So again, we just read about Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Hold that. Get me Ezekiel 16:48.
Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 48. As I live, saith Yahuwah Elohim, Sodom your sister have not done, she nor her daughters, as you have done, you and your daughters. Behold, this was the iniquity of your sister Sodom. Pride.
What is it?
Pride.
The number one of the 7 sins. Pride. Read.
Fullness of bread.
Fullness of what?
Of bread.
Gluttony. Read.
And abundance of idleness.
Slothfulness. Abundance of idle time. Right? Time that you ain't doing nothing. That gives you time to be bored. Is the root of these sins. Right here. So again, when you find yourself by yourself and you feel like nobody's looking, that's when this stuff creep in on you. So how do you stop doing this? How do you avoid having this idle time? What should be taking place? I just want y'all feedback. What do you think you should be doing?
Exercise. Think about having fun. Like he said, we might should be on him all day, every day.
Pray without ceasing. Should be doing something productive, and it wouldn't give you the opportunity to fall into this. So if we was working like y'all said, from sun up till sundown, you would be too tired to get into folly. Right? But everything been made easy for a reason. So you can have all of this quote-unquote extra time, idle time. That's when this stuff creeps in on you. So get you a hobby or something. Do something else. Keep your mind off of it. That's why he gave you a wife. So lust in itself is not bad. It's what's done with it that makes it bad. He gave this to you because he wanted you to be fruitful and multiply. But instead of multiplying, I'm not ready for a child yet. Kill it. What? That means you shouldn't be doing it.
We were speaking about that the other day. Me and Greg was watching the YouTube joint, and there was a brother who was speaking on how the mothers have failed their daughters. And at a certain particular time, I want to say he was saying like the late 60s or something like that, when they introduced, or was it the late 50s? So when they introduced abortion for real and pushed it out there, and they started to, come up with all of these contraceptives. So before, if you laid with somebody and you had a baby, if you laid with somebody, you ran the risk of having a child, and that was just it. You know what I'm saying? You got this baby, and y'all gonna have to make it happen. But then after this particular time, where they said the mothers started to go to college and started to get away from being household mothers that were raising their daughters, they transitioned into this whole, my body thing with the feminist movement. So you got these women now who can lay down and have a baby and get rid of it. So there's no consequence of laying down. I can just lay down with who I want to lay down with. Or here's the introduction and the pushing of the contraceptive. I can lay down with somebody and not have the risk of having a child. So if there's no risk of having a child, I can do it as much as I want to. And then the mothers teach the daughters, well, as long as you go out here and protect yourself, you're okay. I don't want you to do it, but make sure you protect yourself so you don't come home with no babies and no diseases. The mindset is so screwed up. Mothers living vicariously through their daughters. The mama got the 2-liter shake now, but her daughter got the Coke bottle. Wear this. This show you off a little better. Wear that. Oh man, yeah, you're gonna kill them with this. You're pushing it. You're feeding it to them. They sponges. They'll go in the direction that you shape them. But what you're shaping them into is the old you. Right? The brother spoke on something called sister, what do you say? Sister daughters. It's no mother-daughter thing anymore. It's sister daughters. We cool with each other. So we can wear the same type of clothes. When was that ever a thing? You go out and you go clubbing together. You go out to the same parties. You hang. You even look at the same type of men. You know what I'm saying? You're creating a monster. And then you're going to talk about her when she got 8 kids. All right, you was around here opening your legs up every. You showed her the way. You introduced her to it. And you made it okay. And this is single mothers. But it's just the same with some fathers in the homes too. It's the same thing. Because men don't want to be that bully or bad guy to their daughters. So you hate it, but you allow it because you don't want to be the bully. Daughters look up to their fathers. Your word is golden. You got to be that for them. Because the world is going to give them what they want to give them. You know what I'm saying? This stuff here, man, this stuff is, man.
Absolutely.
My bad.
That's horrible. No, that's good, Mark. That's good. So just go back to 2 Samuel 11.
2 Samuel 11 and 1 and 2. And it came to pass in an evening tide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself.
He did what?
He saw a woman washing herself.
Guess what this is the first thing of? This is the first Instagram. Instagram.
Oh, wow.
So David just got his Instagram account. Read on.
Upon the roof of the king's house, and from the roof he saw a woman washing herself. And the woman was very beautiful to look upon.
She was what?
Very beautiful to look upon.
So if a man looks on a woman to lust after her, he has committed adultery in his heart already. She is a married woman. Read.
And David sent and inquired after the woman. And one said, Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?
Right there, he was supposed to do what?
Oh, man. Yeah, man. That one. Shoot.
It's a rap. Oh, that's my boy Uriah's wife. Oh, my goodness. Oh. But all common sense goes away. All logic goes away. Read.
And David sent messengers. He didn't even respond. And David sent messengers and took her. And she came in unto him. And he lay with her. For she was purified from her uncleanness. And she returned unto her house.
She did what?
She returned unto her house.
So now he is not doing what he's supposed to do, seen something he shouldn't have seen, just did something he shouldn't have done. Read.
And when lust had conceived, and when the woman conceived and sent and told David and said, I'm pregnant.
What?
I'm pregnant.
She pregnant. So again, here go that choice in most people's lives. Do I destroy my family, or do we commit iniquity and get rid of the child?
You don't have to get rid of that.
My wife would kill me if she found out this.
Man, I got a wife at the crib. I got a girlfriend on the side.
Again, all logic goes away. Common sense flies out the window. Read.
And David sent to Joab, saying, Send me Uriah the Hittite. And Joab sent Uriah to David. And when Uriah was come unto him, David demanded of him how Joab did, and how the people did, and how the war prospered. And David said to Uriah, Go down to your house and wash your feet. And Uriah departed out of the king's house, and there followed him a mess of food from the king. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all his servants of his master, and went not down to his house. And when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down to his house, David said unto Uriah, Came you not from your journey? Why then did you not go down to your house?
So what is David doing right now? Which is called what?
Iniquity.
Iniquity. He's adding sin to sin with this. Because this is what it brings. I gotta cover it up. I gotta keep somebody from finding out. Read.
And Uriah said unto David, The ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents, and my master Joab and the servants of my master are encamped in the open fields. Shall I then go to my house to eat and to drink, and to lie with my wife? Lie with my wife? Lie with my wife? As you live, as your soul lives, I will not do this thing. And David said to Uriah, Well, tarry here today also.
He was a stand-up guy.
Right.
But why would he want to go home to his wife? That's my brother. Why would he go? We'll keep going.
Mm.
Read on.
You have to put me up on game afterward. Tarry here today also, and tomorrow I will let you depart. So Uriah abode in Jerusalem that day and tomorrow. And when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk.
He did what?
He got drunk on his own,
Wow.
and he made him drunk.
Instead of getting female drunk, he tries to get him drunk. That's the plan most of the time. Back in the world days, he was trying to get the woman drunk, right? Because we grew up in, I don't know about y'all, but we grew up in a rape culture, right? There was movies that was promoting that same stuff that Bill Cosby went to prison for, right? It was common. It looked at like it wasn't really nothing, right? So I was at this party one time, and dudes was like, it was at a house, and there was a girl in there, and she was dancing around. My man say, King, come here, bro, check this out. Went in the kitchen, they still in the living room dancing around. He say, bro, if you put this in their drinks, it'll knock them out. And we're going to run through them. Now, me being me, I'm like, that's going to do what to them? They're going to knock them out. I'm like, in my mind, that sounds like rape. You're like, yeah, you just pour like 2 drops in there, stir it in, and it'll knock them out. I'm like, no, bro, I ain't with it. I went in there to the girl's face and looked at her. Look at me. I'm leaving. I'm about to go. Now, I still feel bad because I should have told her and should have stopped it. Right? But I was just looking out for me. I'm like, listen, you see me? I'm leaving. I'm about to go. To this day, I don't know if they did it or not. You know what I'm saying? This is the type of stuff. Again, because we grew up in rape culture. This was normal. This was in the back of the magazines. Buy this stuff. I ain't going to even say it because I don't want y'all to go try to look and do it. And it'll have you thinking like, oh, she was happy that you knocked her out with the stuff. There's nothing. All bad. All bad. Pick up where you left off.
And when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And that evening, he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his master, but went not down to his house. And it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab and sent it by the hand of Uriah.
By who?
By the hand of Uriah.
He's so scandalous, he sends the letter to get him killed by him. Now, David is supposed to be a man of what? Honor after Yah's own heart. Look what this sin turned him into. He was a man after Yah's own heart, but look what this sin has turned him into. He's a savage. He's a monster. He's a beast. He is without natural affection. At this moment, he is a savage. He's a beast. He don't care. But this was a man after Yah's own heart. That's why you got to guard it. We got to guard our eyes of what we take in, what we see. Because it'll have you doing stuff like this. Read.
And he wrote in the letter saying, set you Uriah in the front of the hottest battle, and retire you from him, that he may be smitten and die.
That he may what?
Be smitten and die.
That he may be smitten and die. So now, you committed adultery, right? You committed adultery, and now you're about to commit murder. 2 sins that's worthy of death. He added sin to sin. Now he's trying to cover it up. Oh, this thing won't even go home. I got to kill him. What? He won't even go home. I got to kill him now. Put him on the front line of the battle. But technically, I didn't kill him. The Amorites killed him. Just the logic. I didn't do nothing. He was a soldier. What are you talking about? He died. He was in the war. You know what you sign up for when you go to the army? People die every day, B. Nothing. Read.
And he wrote the letter saying, set Uriah in front of the hottest battle and retire you from him, that he may be smitten and die. And it came to pass, when Joab observed the city, that he assigned Uriah unto a place where he knew the valiant men were.
He did what?
He assigned him to a place where he knew the killers was at.
He knew that he was going to die. Again, this is David, a man after God's own heart, that's driven with lust to do the unthinkable. We ain't going to read about Samson, but we know that Samson was the same way, driven by his lust. Had to have his eyes poked out, right? Once his eyes was poked out, he could finally see the error of his ways and what he was doing. But it took him to lose his eyes, which Mashiach says, gouge out your eyes if they cause you to sin. He has got gouged out, and he could actually finally see. One last with Galatians 5:16.
Galatians chapter 5 and verse 16. This I say then, walk in the Ruach.
Do what?
Walk in the Ruach.
Walk in the Ruach. Read.
And you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh.
So if you walking in the Ruach, you won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. If you walking in the Ruach, you will be praying without ceasing. It'll be on your mind all the time. Read.
For the flesh lusts against the Ruach, and the Ruach against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that you cannot do the things that you would. But if you be led of the Ruach, you are not under the law.
You're what?
You are not under the law.
Read.
Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders,
All components of the 7 deadly sins. Read.
drunkenness, revelings, and such like.
And anything that's like it that wasn't mentioned. Read.
Of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in times past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of Elohim.
So these things will keep you from the kingdom of Yah. They will keep you from getting that crown of life. These stumbling blocks that's before us, they will keep you from the kingdom. Read.
But the fruit of the Ruach is love.
What?
But the fruit of the Ruach is love.
It is lust.
Love,
That's why lust disguises itself to look like it. Read.
joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance.
Temperance. Again, it's key that this temperance, because it is self-control. But if you don't got self-control, it means that you are not walking in what? The Ruach, or the Spirit. Read.
Against such, there is no law.
There is no what?
There is no law.
There is no law. So again, keep yourself busy stay in the book, stay in the word, walk in the Ruach, and you won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. And with that, this court is adjourned. 11,
Teach another deadly sin next week. Yeah, we're gonna go down. Y'all wanna hear about another deadly sin next week? Bring them all out. So go as many as you got left, this week after week.
It's 3 left.
I was thinking about that whole setup of David. I can understand why Satan trying to get to him, but I start thinking, why did he pick a woman to do what she did instead of another woman? It's just coincidence she had to just, be on the porch at that particular time. Why did he go after her? Is it something that she would have done anyway with anybody else, or she's that type of woman, period?
I think it's how women are infatuated with power. Like the biggest rapper or the biggest singer or athlete or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing to him. David is the king, right? So, yeah, he the king, he the man.
They don't say that she resisted. They don't say none of that.
Y'all was working out Matthew 5 and 28. Matthew 5 and 28. Look upon what is all of it? Be honest, because y'all just put me butt out. What Ephesians chapter 8 and 11 go with all of what he was talking about there?
Ephesians chapter what?
There's no Ephesians 8. There's no Ephesians 8.
Talking about, you talking about 5 and 11?
No, is it not? No, not Ephesians, I'm sorry. What I'm talking about, hold up.
Quote the script.
No, not Ephesians, I'm sorry. Hold on, my thought. I lost my thought. It's okay. What's going on? I lost my thought.
Unfruitful works of darkness? No?
It was something, I can't remember I was reading that, but it was like, you know how, people in the world, they do all these, with the sexual things, the Most High doesn't bring judgment right away. So that's why I be thinking in my mind, is
You
why
talking about
they-
Ecclesiastes?
8 and 11. It's Ecclesiastes 8 and 11, yeah.
is it
I said, though a sinner does wickedly 100 times, is that what you're talking about?
Nothing
No,
talking
it's
about
like the
Leviticus.
judgment doesn't come right away. Like,
That's
That's
Ecclesiastes 8 and 11.
That's what I'm talking about.
feed or you break a law in the world, they bring judgment right away. The Most High doesn't bring judgment right away. So a lot of people in the world will go out here and have sex with different types of people because the judgment is not coming right away from the Most High. So they feel like they can do it and get away with it.
But he said just because he knows what the judgment, people are getting bold.
I'll give you I'll do you one better. This thing's been going on for a long time. Even when the judgments was right there. That's the reason why we in this predicament we in today.
Right.
Even though they was stone him, we still here. David still did what he did. You know what I'm saying? Those men still did what they did. You know what I'm saying? So it's what lies in the heart of that person. You know what I'm saying? It don't like it. The type of if you're a person that only don't cross the line because you're afraid of punishment, it's only gonna go so far. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're not afraid anymore, you're gonna do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I definitely see what you're saying. And men do, because there is no judgment, of course, man gonna go ahead and keep on. You know what I mean? But this thing, it's really what's in the heart. Like he told us in Deuteronomy 6:4 or 6, whatever it is. He tells us to love him with all our heart, mind, and our soul. You know what I'm saying? Don't just look at my commandments and say, oh, I'm going to do these. No, I want it to be in here. Because if it's in here, I know that you're going to do it. If it ain't in here, it's no telling what you're going to do, when you're going to do it. You know?
Galatians chapter 5, this spoke on uncleanness, right?
Yeah.
Jazz wanted to know if that meant like still people like eating pork and stuff like that.
Galatians 5.
Like, yeah, she asked what was like with the meat by uncleanness, and then I said anything that would defile you. So she said,
Yeah, we're going to it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially with the other sin. Right? Because it says that you're unclean when you do this act. All right?
Any other questions? What we got on the chat?
All right, let me go. Let's see what we got here. Somebody, Mikey Spark asks, is it a sin to listen to trap music on the Sabbath? Its motivation in the book of Song. Huh?
That's it, that Mikey.
Yeah.
He young.
Okay.
I definitely wouldn't be listening to trap music on the Shabbat, young man. Get your mind together, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of, righteous music out there that you can listen to. There's a lot of it out there.
Shouldn't be listening to trap music at all.
Definitely shouldn't be listening to trap music at all. I don't be liking to plug like that, you know what I'm saying? I plug my, you can go listen to Big Ike Rhyme, Spirit versus Flesh. Check that out. Or Don't Do Me This Way. Or Hot Fire, Don't Do Me This Way by Cole, King Cole.
Or Credo.
Or that, whoever did that one. There's a lot of stuff out here that you can listen to. Literally, there's so much music that you can listen to. You got Israelite music that sounds like trap music. You know what I'm saying? I don't necessarily agree with it like that, but at least it ain't that. You know what I mean?
Got another question.
Yeah.
It says between the two, Leviticus 15 and 24 through 25, and Leviticus 20.
The next question was this. Between Leviticus 15 verse 24 through 25 and Leviticus 20 verse 18, do you know why one you're cut off and the other you're not?
Leviticus. Oh, okay. I think I know. Pull that up for me.
Leviticus chapter 15 verse 24. And if any man lie with her at all, and her flowers be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days.
Stop. Read it one more time.
And if any man lie with her at all,
So if a man is lying with a woman, laying with his wife, or whatever have you, right? And what happens?
and her flowers be upon him,
And her flowers come upon him. So this is talking about a woman coming on her cycle in the midst of lying together. Right? So that will be him being unclean, because this was not an intentional lying with her. He didn't enter into her knowing that she was on her cycle. Go ahead.
and her flowers be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days. And all the bed whereon he lieth shall be unclean.
It's going to be unclean because obviously there was blood. Yes? All right, now go to the other. Oh, go ahead.
But he wanted to read through 25.
Oh,
And he says, and if a woman have an issue of her blood many days out of the time of her separation, or if it run beyond the time of her separation, All the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the days of her separation. She shall be unclean.
So it's normally 7 days. If she runs beyond those days with her bleeding, then she has to fulfill those days. She's still unclean. She can't be pronounced clean just because it was 7 days if she's still bleeding. Now this other one is intentional. So we have unintentional and intentional. Go ahead.
All right, this is Leviticus 20, verse 18. And if a man shall lie with a woman having her sickness,
Say it again.
and if a man shall lie with a woman having her sickness,
He can't control his lust, even for his own woman. And he go in there when there's a stop sign, right? Brothers call it getting their red wings nowadays. Read.
and shall uncover her nakedness,
And do what?
and shall uncover her
So
nakedness,
if he go in unto her, knowing that she's on her cycle. Oh, but brother, she ain't bleeding. She was only bleeding 3 days out of the 7. No, it says 7 days. He mean that. 7 days. Yeah, but her cycle should be short though. You know what I'm saying? And if we back on, just no. 7 days. Keep yourself together for 7 days. It always seemed like around the time where, you know, your woman get on the cycle, your lust just intensifies. Right? Why? Because you know you can't do it. You got 23 other days that y'all don't even be looking at each other. These 7 come around, it's like, oh man, this is so beautiful. I just never knew that you was looking that good. It's only because you can't do it. It's like the Ak be talking about. If he say don't go in that room, the first thing you're going to want to do is go in the room. Wait your 7 days, brother. Wait your 7 days, sister. Don't be deceiving that man either. Oh, it was on Tuesday, but you know it wasn't to Thursday. Stop playing the games. Go ahead.
oh yeah. And if a woman shall lie with a woman, if a man shall lie with a woman having her sickness, and shall uncover her nakedness, he hath discovered her fountain, and she hath uncovered the fountain of her blood, and both of them shall be cut off from among their people.
Because they nasty. Yahuwah is cleansing out the body of this woman, and you are interrupting his cleaning process. You too are nasty, and you gotta go. We don't want this to be amongst Israel.
So what, the first one is like, describe the first one again,
So
chapter
imagine
15.
if he's just laying with his wife, and then she comes on her cycle while he's laying.
Laying with her. That's something.
It's not
Right,
intentional. So it's like, look, you unclean just the amount of days she unclean.
gotcha.
But if you do it intentionally, it's like,
Yeah, because and both of them conscious of it too.
exactly.
Both of them, right? Both of them know.
Conscious.
That's why I say he and she gonna be cut off. Got some more questions, brother?
I think it says, yeah, I got
Hold on
one.
one second. Come on with it. Y'all hold it down, please.
So if you have a wife, are you allowed to look at her as, how
Lust after her?
not lust, but I guess that's how you put it.
If you have a wife? Absolutely. I mean, that's we're talking. We're talking. Yes, absolutely. Look at your wife. The scriptures tell you to enjoy the wife of your youth. We'll talk. We didn't have one of them talks anyway. Last time it was me and Harry. We got a lot of other brothers here. You know what I'm saying?
It says, if the sons of Yah are men and not Melachim, and they don't sleep with humans, and Lot and the men knew they were Melachim, where did those men get the idea it was possible to sleep with Melachim?
Say if the men were not Melachim.
It says, if the sons of Yah are men and not Melachim, reference in Genesis.
Yeah.
and they don't sleep with humans, and Lot and the men knew they were Malachim. Where did those men get the idea it was possible to sleep with Malachim?
Did they even know? Thing is, they didn't know.
Let them down easy, y'all.
So, in the Malachims, they came down in a form. They had to come down in a physical body. These men that's in Sodom and Gomorrah were, I don't know the word, but
Oh, they're talking about the two stories, like they say.
yeah,
Oh,
two different stories.
got you.
Let's go back to Genesis chapter 6.
I thought so they're saying if these men wasn't, oh, okay, okay. I'm thinking they're just talking about Genesis 6.
No.
That's why I said
Just making a comparison.
Okay.
Go to Genesis 6.
Genesis 6 and 1. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth.
Who began to do this?
When men began to multiply on the face of the earth.
Read.
The daughters were born to them. The sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, and they were fair. And they took them wives of all which they chose.
They did what?
And they took them wives of all which they chose.
Read.
And Yahuwah said, my Ruach shall not always strive with man.
With who?
With man.
With Malachims.
With man.
So let's see.
Oh, let me finish it. For that he also is flesh.
Is what?
Is flesh.
He is flesh. So, if this is Malachims are greater than men, right? Who would be in the greater sin? The angels or men? The Malachim would be in greater sin. So he would point them out, right? Let's see those, he point them out anywhere in this text. Read.
My Ruach shall not always strive with man.
With angels.
With man.
Read.
For that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years.
So what about the angels for doing this? Does it mention anything about the angels' days should be numbered?
No.
No. Read on.
And Yahuwah said, verse 4, there were giants in the earth in those days.
In what days?
There were giants in the earth in those days.
Read.
And also after that,
Read.
when the sons of Elohim came into the daughters of men.
So it doesn't tell us that the giants came from these unions. It says that there were giants in the earth in those days when the sons of men came into the daughters of men of women. Read.
The same became mighty men of old, men of renown.
Read.
And Elohim saw the wickedness of man.
Of who?
Of man.
The wickedness of man. Why don't he mention angels here? Read.
Was great in the earth, that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was
Whose heart?
Was of his heart.
Of man's heart. Read.
Was only evil continually.
Read.
And it repented Yahuwah that he made man.
That he made who?
Man.
That he made the Malachims because they couldn't control themselves.
Man.
Read.
On the earth.
On where?
On the earth.
Again, if this is angels, the angels are greater than man. Read.
And it grieved him at his heart. And Yahuwah said, I will destroy man.
I will destroy who?
Man.
Why don't he say I will destroy the angels? Read.
From whom I've created from the face of the earth.
Read.
Both man and beast.
And Malachim.
And beast.
Wait a minute, he don't say nothing about the Malachims yet. Read.
And creeping thing, the fowls of the air, for it repent me that I have made them.
So he's naming everything but the angels, which the angels would be the greatest, but he don't name them.
As an example, when Shaitan entered into the garden and got involved with Eve, with beguiling her, right? What was the first thing that he did?
He called all three of them out, but he called the serpent out first because he was in error. Go there, man. Genesis 3, about verse 14.
Genesis 3 and 14. And he said unto the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle.
So he's going to get everybody that's involved. Read.
Upon your belly shall you go, and dust shall you eat all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. It shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Unto the woman, he says.
So now he has addressed the serpent. Now he's getting the second party that's involved. Read.
I will greatly multiply your sorrows and your conception. In sorrow you shall bring forth children, and your desire shall be to your husband, and he shall rule over you. And unto Adam, he said.
Now he gets the third party. Everybody that was involved in this, he addresses them directly. But in Genesis 6, he mentions nothing about Malachims or angels in no way, shape, or form. Everything he says, I am repentant that I made man and man's imagination. Everything is directly towards man. Read.
And unto Adam, he said, because you have listened unto the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for your sake. In sorrow shall you eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to you, and you shall eat the herb of the field.
And you shall what?
Eat the herb of the field.
You shall eat the herb of the field. Go to Genesis 19. Matter of fact, Genesis 18, and pick it up at verse 1.
Genesis 18:1, and Yahuwah appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes, and he looked, and lo, there 3 men stood by him.
3 what?
3 men stood by
So
him.
Yahuwah and them come down in what form?
Men.
In the form of men. So what form are these angels in?
Men.
In the form of men. This is why they think they can do what they was doing to them, because they are in the form of men. I hope that answers your question.
Hallelujah. You got some more on the chat?
I think that was it.
There's a lot of people who conversing, talking about men being able to marry more than one woman. I know this in the law, but dealing with the idea of the lust thing, and I've read people discussing this, and guys basically saying if he's married, for example, guy takes his wife out, his only wife, his wife out to dinner. He's sitting there, women passing by, and he's looking at them lustfully or whatever. And he uses the excuse that it's okay to do that because he can marry one of them if he decides to talk to them, so he can just freely, they're not, or let's say he knows that the women he's looking at are not married, that he has a license to just, let's say, I mean, to me that seems very disrespectful. He's out because he can, supposedly, I'm just putting it out there as kind of a question. He can do, fortunately my husband's not interested in getting married to anybody else I ask him, but I'm just asking a general question.
I asked him.
I'm just asking a general question, because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like that some people are teaching that a man who is married can lust after a woman as long as she's not currently married. So, oh, that part. Like if a man was married to a woman just because he slept with her, then Judah would be instantly married to Tamar, and there would be no need for him to talk about stoning, and she would have been his wife, would have made him responsible for her. But every culture in the world knows that marriage is a commitment, a covenant, not just the sex.
Yeah.
Therefore, people can be whoremongers. And if just sex made you married, every street walker, hooker, prostitute would be married to her first job. Doesn't make sense.
Right. True. So, we don't teach that sex is marriage. Sex is not marriage. It's just not what it is. We have been through that 1,000 times. But when we're talking about what the text says, right? When it says that if a man looks upon a woman in lust after he's committed adultery, we have to go through and look at what adultery is and in it of itself, right? A respect thing and lawful thing, two totally different things, right? It's Now, could that be looked at as disrespectful? Absolutely, right? Depending on the union that you're in. But what is adultery? That's what it boils down to. What is adultery? Anyway.
Someone's wife. Having sex with someone's wife.
Having sex with someone's wife, right? Or what else? Or a woman sleeping with a man that's not her husband, right? These things in the scripture are defined as adultery. So when we look at that, when a man look at a woman and he lusts after her, we have to consider, and he commits adultery in his heart, we have to consider that where that adultery actually comes from. It comes from this woman being married to somebody else. So if you look at David, right, when David went and did this thing, the Most High said to him, hey man, if you would have wanted somebody else, I would have gave you somebody else, right? Or I gave you your master's wives. He died. But I gave you your master's wives, right? So looking upon a woman, just plain, looking upon a single woman is not adultery, or it's not against the law. Like I said, when it comes to the respect thing, that's subjective to who you're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? You'll have a woman that say, hey, me and my husband look at women together. Don't make it right, but there's a difference between unlawful and disrespectful.
Why do you think it says a woman and not someone else's wife? The reason why I say that is if he, not to make a long conversation, but what I was getting at was a married man feeling that he can even have sex with another woman as long as he's not married. Let's say he intentionally has sex with another woman who he does not intend upon taking care of. And he's just going around having sex with different women.
He's a
He
hormone.
has no intention of marrying from the get.
He's a hormone.
He's in fornication, which is a sin worthy of death.
So when you look at what it says a woman as opposed to a married woman, the adultery there is what lets you know. That's why we said we need to define adultery. Because when he says adultery, that would let you know right off what type of woman he's talking about. That would be a married woman. Can you lay with a woman if that's your fiance? Get married. Get married. Get married. Amen. Get married. That's because look at it like this, right? That's your fiance, right? Do fiancés break up? So now you just laid with a woman that you didn't marry. Get married. Get married. Or if she died, like the sister said. I don't want to think that extreme, but it does happen. Sheesh. She might kick the bucket, bro. You might as well go. I got you though, sis. I get you. That's the thing. It's fair. It's fair. You died in your sins. Go ahead.
Here's the thing, though. You got
Hold it down, y'all. Hold it down.
You got people in the true school saying that you don't have to go through today's traditional marriage. You can go through the biblical marriage where you have family members or friends as a witness.
That's who? A witness. I don't see no issue with that.
So that one, I ain't gonna say that leads to his question, but you necessarily don't. This was out here. You necessarily don't have to go through today's traditional marriage. So you probably consider your fiance, but if you get family members, whoever, hey, me and this woman gonna elope, everybody's there, because you can look at some of these old Bibles, they got this little certificate to say, hey, it was a witness to say that we married, so.
Legal document.
Right, legal document.
There's legal documentation. If it's just your fiance, you ain't had none of that. You ain't got no documentation to cover her and or you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta have that paperwork. It don't matter if it's through the state or through whether it's a covenant of divine union. right? You got to make that paperwork official. Because if you divorce her, what does the text say you have to do? Give her a bill of divorce. You know what I'm saying? So ain't no bill of divorce without a bill of sale.
Aren't tokens, I'm talking about biblically speaking, reading through the scriptures, a token, in
Of
other
her
words,
virginity?
representing that you're making a covenant.
You talking about the token of her virginity?
A token of marriage. I'm saying, you said a piece of paper.
Yeah.
More or less, but in every situation in scripture, it was a piece of paper. You know, it was, but I'm saying the
Well,
commitment was there.
there's
I'm talking
there's
about
something
the
there.
intentional right.
But when you say
I'm not
token
saying
with
they be a
marriage,
stuffed animal.
oh, well, I mean, but that, see, I can't go with that.
No, seriously, true story. 3 times. First, in the sanctuary, it was just me and him and Yahuwah, and he had just given me a stuffed animal, a big frog that I have to this day. And he said that he told his children that's not for them, that when he meets the woman he's going to marry, he's going to present it to her. And he gave it to me in the back of the sanctuary after the church was dismissed. We walked up, we made a commitment to each other, and went home with him. And then next, we went downtown and got the paperwork. And then next, we had a big wedding at the church. So we got all 3 of us.
You're such a romantic.
As long as you made it official. Like I say, there's what does the text say? If you lie with a woman before you actually marry her, what you gotta do? You gotta make her your wife. So when he gave you the beard, that was an engagement, a fraud. I'm sorry. Let me respect the fraud. Carry me.
Kermit drinking tea.
Carry me.
It was the frog prince.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. In the text, there is a clause, so to speak. If you lie with a woman before you get married, you shall surely endow to marry this woman. Ain't no just we laying down and that's what it is. Hold it down, y'all. Hey, we don't hear romantic stories that often now.
That particular time, it's like God said, if you don't marry her, I'm gonna kill you.
Ultimatum.
Yeah.
I mean, you still chose her, but
Yeah.
then he just added a little stake on it.
Yeah.
I got you. Hallelujah. All right, is that it? We ain't got nothing else on the chat? Hey, DeLorean. Brother, need you to the front. All right.
Says, Miley Spark, I don't want to do the traditional thing of, what is that? Kneeling to a woman. I definitely would do that. To a woman to put on her ring. What's another way of asking her to get married?
Hey, you want to get married? So many different ways you can ask them. You know, the most important thing is to ask them.
And you can rent you a plane and have it on the back of it flying through the sky. Such and such, will you marry me? You know, even cheap stuff like that.
Get you the spray for the fireflies and right where you marry me.
Right on a piece of toilet paper.
Or how about not toilet paper, same type of material, regular paper, and say, will you marry me? Check yes or no.
Yeah, do something like that.
But you don't have to kneel down in front of a woman just to say, hey, will you marry me? Stop watching TV. Any more questions?
No, that's it. Go ahead. You want to pray out first?
Yeah, let's pray out.
Yeah, let's do that first.
We gon' pray, we gon' pray, we gon' pray, we gon' pray, pray out, pray out, pray out, pray out. We gon' pray, we gon' pray, we gon' pray, we gon' pray, pray out, pray out, pray out. Hey, we gon' pray, we gon' pray, we gon' pray, we gon' pray, pray out.
Y'all pray for me, man. I want y'all to, I'm trying to get that singing voice, so pray for me for that voice.
Hey, no, he for real though, y'all. Y'all go ahead and pray. He's not playing.
I want that
Pray
voice.
that he gets this, because let me tell y'all about my eye real quick before we pray. Okay? He's a great preacher. Okay? And if you get the
Good
voice
teacher.
to go with
Good
it,
teacher.
he's a good teacher.
Yeah.
Now, if you get the voice to go with it, when he make them points, he can kind of, you know what I mean? He can kind of, no love and fornication. Coming on! That's right.
You will never hear me do that.
All right, dog.
Hold it down, hold it down.
Father, yeah, we come before you, first and foremost, Father, just to thank you. Thank you for your Ruach. Thank you for your great name, Father, yeah, for you keeping your own great name, Father, yeah. Thank you for our teachers. Thank you for our fellowship, Father, yeah. Thank you for your mercy. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for your favor, Father, yeah. Father, we ask that you allow your word not only to be in our minds, Father, but to enter into our hearts that we've heard, Father, yeah. Father, yeah, we ask that you allow your Ruach to be within us, to keep us, Father, yeah. Keep us from ourselves, Father, yeah. We ask that you allow us and give us the strength to govern ourselves, Father, yeah, to keep ourselves from lust, Father, yeah. Give us the mind and the discernment on how to strengthen ourselves to flee from these temptations that we have, Father, yeah. Father, we ask that you cover our home, Father, yeah. Cover our temple that we're in right now, Father, yeah. Bring us closer as one, as a family, Father, yeah. Father, yeah, we ask that you remove the sickness and ailments of our parents, Father, yeah, from our children, Father, yeah. We send up a special prayer for Jaden, Father, yeah, to touch his lungs, Father, yeah, to remove any sickness that's within him, Father, yeah. Father, we ask that you touch our minds, touch our hearts, and touch our spirits, Father, yeah. That we are one with you and you alone, Father, yeah. In all these things we pray, give you thanks to your mighty name, Yahuwah, and the authority of your Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, and your set-apart spirit. So be it.
So be it.
Happy New Shabbat Shemaim.
Happy New Shabbat Shemaim.
Ikadosh.
Shemka. Tabo. Malkuka. Yase. Resonka. Barex. Kasher. Nasha. Bashemaim. Telanu. Hayom. The King. Ikanu. Uzlap. Lanu. 8. Ashmatenu. Kasher. Suking. Anagnu. Lasher. Ashmu. Lanu. Wa'al. Tabinu. Lede. Masa. Ki. In. Asalanu. Min. Hara. Ki. Laka. Amamlaka. Bahagi Barak. Bahati Faret. Lome. Ulamin. So be it.
I'm about to do it now.